this video, I'm going to explain to you why ROI is not the best determination of the effectiveness of your handicapping of your model. I'm going to show you a completely different way to calculate ROI that's actually better. This is an advanced video, I will warn you, but I think once you understand it, it will greatly improve your handicapping. My name's MGCovers. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning into this video. Before we start, don't forget, if you're watching this video for the first time, some of my content, I have something on Fridays called Free Fridays. Give out all my lines for all sports via my models on Instagram. All you have to do is follow me there. It's MGCovers, cover spelled with a Z. And there's a link in the description of this video. So if you click that link and follow me, you get a ton of value simply by following me on Instagram. Let's dive into this video. First, I want to briefly explain what ROI is. ROI is return on investment. It's a calculation of how much money did I invest and what did I get back from that investment. Okay, so let's relate it to sports betting. If you play an underdog, say it's plus 145, you only have to invest, and let's use $100 as an example. You only have to invest $100. If that wins, you win $145. Or the way that it's calculated, you invested 1 unit and you won 1.45 units. Let's say it's a favorite. That's minus 245. So you invested $245. If it wins, you win 1 unit. If it loses, you lose minus 2.45 units. And that's how we calculate the ROI. And I'll show you that with an actual example. And this will make a lot of sense because we first have to establish what ROI is and how to calculate it. Now, what you're looking at is Major League Baseball models. I got the same model, but on the left is playing the top 10 teams and on the right is playing the top 6 teams. Now, if you go down here, the top 6 teams is 23-14 plus 7.84 units. We've invested a total of 43.71 units. And I'm going to explain this in a little bit more detail. Again, this is advanced, so it might be difficult for me to explain, but I'm going to try to make it basic where that you can grasp this. Now, we only have 21 days of data, which means I only started back testing this from 5/1 to 5/21. Now we go over here to the left. This is playing the top 6 teams, but I have a significant amount of more data here. So I started tracking this on 4/10 all the way up and through yesterday, 5/21. This is 99 and 84, up 24.79 units with a total amount invested units of 198.79. Now, since we have different sample sizes, meaning like the top 6 teams, I have a small sample size. Over here on the left, we're playing the top 10 teams. We have a bigger sample size. Most handicappers would tell you what you should do is you should play the way what gives you the highest ROI. That's what most handicappers would, or people that claim to be smart in this business would say, you need to play which handicapping method gives you the highest ROI. That's wrong, and I'll explain it in just a second. So first off, I want to go over here and take a look at, just so everybody understands ROI. So if we look at this first example here, this was from 5/1. So the line was 105. This is the ROI. So we invested 1 unit, or if we're using $100 example, we invested $100. It won. So we get back 1.5. All right. And to determine the ROI, we take what we invested versus what we got back. And I'll show you how that's calculated. Now, if you look for a favorite, look at this one from 5/2, Chicago. What the line was minus 122. We had to invest 1.22 units. If it wins, we win 1 unit. Up here, you see Boston was minus 116. We would invest 1.16 units. If it loses, we lose minus 1.16 units. So now let's tally all this up. So if you add this up here, this particular sample size from 5/1 to 5/21, small sample size, very accurate. This was, so what's that, 62%? But the 43.71 units invested, we get back 7.84 units. So how do we calculate ROI? We take the number of units that we won divided by the total amount of units invested. So we take 7.84 divided by 43.71 units, and that gives us 0.17.9. We convert that to a percentage, that's 18%. So the ROI here is 18%. Okay. Now let's go over here to this model, or it's the same model. We're just playing more volume. Instead of playing the top 6 teams, we're playing the top 10 teams. And again, the reason why I want to show you this is you might encounter this situation where I have a small sample size for the top 6 and I have a bigger sample size for the top 10. So most people would say, well, you got to compare the ROI, but it's not true. That's the whole reason I'm showing you this. Now, this was 99.84, done really extremely well, 24.79. We invested 198.79 units. So how do we calculate the ROI? We take 24.79 divided by the total amount invested, and we get 12% ROI. Okay. So now here's the mistake. People will say, handicappers that think they're smart and giving you good advice, they'll say, well, this is only 12% ROI. And over here, this is 18% ROI. So you should be playing this way. This way gives you the higher ROI. The part that they leave out that they're not taking under consideration, and many people make this mistake in sports betting, this is a business. What is the premise of any business? The premise of any business is to make money, cash flow. So I'm going to show you a quote cash flow method, and we're going to call this PACE. I learned this from a really good friend of mine, Rick. Big shout out to him. Extremely successful millionaire a couple times over. And those of you that are in the car business or on a traditional business, you might already know how to do this. It's called PACE. So what do I mean by PACE? We're going to determine how many units that we're making per day. All right. So here we've made 7.84 units through 21 days. Okay. So we take 7.84 divided by 21. So we're making 0.37 units per day. That's what we're making per day. Now, if we come over here, and another way to do this, so let's say we have 0.37 units per day, and we have, let's be realistic about this. So let's say we have, May, June, July, August. We have 4 months of wagering for Major League Baseball, 4 times 30, meaning 30 days in a month. Let's say 120. So we're going to take this number times 30 to get our monthly average of 11 units, 11 units times 4 months. So projected to generate 44.8 units for the baseball season. So again, to review how I did that, we've wagered 21 days and made 7.84 units. So to get the daily PACE numbers, what are we making per day? What's our cash flow per day? We're generating 0.37 units of profit per day times 30 is 11.22 times 4 months would be 44.8 units total. Now let's go down here and look at this. So 24.79. Again, this is significantly less ROI. This is only 12% ROI. The example I showed you was 18% ROI. So we've made 24.79 units, and from 410 to 521 is 42 days. So we take 24.79 divided by 42 days. We're generating 0.59 units per day. Okay. Now we take this number, 0.59 times 30, and that gives us 17.7 units per month equals times 4. And that gives us on pace to make 70 units. So here is the secret and why ROI is not the best way to calculate. It's actually pace. Okay. So this model is on pace to make, if we did it for the full season, full 4 months of baseball, 70.8 units. This over here is on pace for 40. The mistake people make, people would say would be better because of the ROI, but the problem is the volume aspect. They're not factoring in the volume. All right. It's the same reason that most airlines operate on, say, like a 3% margin, which is very small. So how do they profit? They do a ton and ton and ton of volume to compensate for the quote low ROI. So let me show you this. Pull this up. This is something called the Julian calendar. You can Google Julian calendar and it'll pop up. All right. So today is May, and we look down here, the 22nd day, it says 142. So what you can do is you can do this for your sports betting. You could see how many units you're up, determine what you're on pace for. So this is the 142nd day of the year. All right. 365 days in a year. So let's come back over here, take a look at this page here, and we'll just use this for example. So this is the 142nd day. Let's say you're up 13 units, right? So the first thing we need to do is you've made 13 units, and this is the 142nd day. So how many units are you averaging per day? So you would take 13 divided by 142. You're making 0.09 units per day. You would take 0.09, this number here, times 365. You're on pace to make 33.41 units for the year. So in my opinion, this is better because it's more representative of what actually will yield you the most profit. Now, I want to show you one other example, and we're going to take a look at one of my stat model partners. Those of you that know Eric is our quote UFC handicapper. He started studying with me in 2021. Very smart, didn't know a lot about sports betting, building models. He's built a very successful UFC model, has been very successful in NHL, and this is his current model. 51 and 22 is his win-loss, average odds minus 153. His ROI, let's take a look, is 9.69%. Now, units, which is very important because that's the actual cash equivalent of, that's how you would determine how much money you're actually making. So this is up 17.05 units, right? Now, his favorite win rate is 74.07. Look at his underdog hit rate is 61.54. Many people would look at this and say, wow, what if he just played underdogs? Because if he's getting an ROI of 9.69 units, if he just played underdogs, he would drastically increase his ROI. All right. So if you go over here and look, this is what I've done. So if you look what I did to the log here, I took all of the underdog wagers. And if we scroll down here, we'll show you the total. So let me see if this pops up on my screen. Hopefully it's showing this in the lower right-hand corner. So he's only had 14 dog wagers, and the yield from that was 5.89. So that means on the underdogs, the investment would be 14 units and the return would be 5.89 units. So if we take 5.89 units, 5.89 units divided by 14, look at the ROI, 42% ROI, 42% ROI. So we drastically increased the ROI, right? So again, the mistake people would make would be, wow, you should just play underdogs, because if you play underdogs, you'll increase the ROI like 4 times. You'll make 40% ROI as opposed to 10% ROI. However, you would only make 5.89 units. That would be the total. That's all you would make. So again, I don't want to dumb this down, but I have to. Which is more profit, 5.89 units or 17 units? 17 units. So the problem with ROI, it doesn't account for volume. And let me give you a layman's example in the real world. If Depot, let's say hypothetically Home Depot, probably one of the largest retailers in the world, let's make it simple. Their profit margin averaging over all of the products they sell is 10%. They operate on a 10% ROI. All right. Let's say they have this one product in the store that earns them 43% ROI. So if they get rid of all their products in Home Depot and they only sell this product that makes 43% ROI, will they make more money, or will they make less money? They'll make less money. Because if you ran the pace numbers, what I just showed you, the pace numbers for the 10% ROI, as far as dollar wise, would be far significant, far higher, far greater than it would be on that one product, because overall they would sell more, make more profit daily, albeit at a lower ROI percent. So hope all this makes sense. I do want to review it briefly. Before we do the review, just a reminder, you can get access to this model here for UFC. I don't think I've ever mentioned this on YouTube. You can get access to Eric's UFC model, all his plays for 6 months, $99, or you can get each card for like $20, very inexpensive. Best value is $199. You get access to all his UFC plays for 6 months. I'll put a link in this video. And also, you can get access to all my stuff, all my power rankings, all my lines for all sports, $50 a month, very inexpensive to join. If you want access to all my plays, $100 a month. And then the best way, if you join for an entire year, $500. So you save about $600 yearly, and you get access to everything on the site, including all my coaching videos on my website as well. So let's review this before we wrap this video up. So ROI is the amount you invest and what you actually yield from that. Although that's important, it's not as important as cash flow. If you determine pace, what you're making per day, and the way you determine pace, you have to figure out what day of the year it is, multiply, or if you want to determine your pace for the month, you take today is the 22nd day. So if you've made, for example, let's say you've made 1.75 units today for this month, you want to determine your pace for May. So let's see, there are 31 days in the month of May. You've made 1.75 units of profit. Today is the 22nd. So for 21 days, 1.75. So we take 1.75 divided by 21. You're making 0.08 units. You take this number here times 31. You're on pace to make 2.58 units for the month of May. Pace, more important than hopefully you like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.